12 miles per hour was reached. 2 years later in 1860 Roquette built a similar but heavier vehicle. This model incorporated spur gear drive instead of chain. In his final design resembling a railway locomotive, the cylinders were coupled directly outside the cranks of the driving axle. Roper steam car. Roper and a steam car Madison met time before 1870. Sylvester H. Roper drove around Boston, Massachusetts on a steam car he invented in 1863. 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. One of his 1863 steam cars went to the Henry Ford Museum, where in 1972 it was oldest car in the collection. 21, 22, 24, around 1867, 1869 he built a steam velocipede, which may have been the first motorcycle. 25, 26, 27. Roper died in 1896 of heart failure while testing a later version of his steam motorcycle. 28. Manzetti steam car. In 1864 Italian inventor Innocenzo Manzetti built a road steamer. 29. It had the boiler at the front and a single-cylinder engine. Holt road steamer. H.P. Holt constructed a small road steamer in 1866. Able to reach a speed of 20 miles per hour on level roads, it had a vertical boiler at the rear and two separate twin-cylinder engines, each of which drove on a rear wheel by means of a chain and sprocket wheels. Taylor steam buggy. Taylor's steam buggy of 1867. In 1867 Canadian jeweler Henry Seth Taylor demonstrated his four-wheeled steam buggy at the Stansted Fair in Stansted, Quebec, and again the following year. 30. The basis of the buggy which he began building in 1865 was a high-wheeled carriage with bracing to support a two-cylinder steam engine mounted on the floor. 31. Michaud's Perriot steam velocipede. Michaud's Perriot steam velocipedian display at the Art of the Motorcycle exhibition at the Guggenheim in New York in 1998. Around 1867. 1869 in France a Louis-Guillaume Perrix commercial steam engine was attached to a Pierre Michaud's metal-framed velocipede, creating the Michaud's Perriot steam velocipede. 26. Along with the Roper steam velocipede, it might have been the first motorcycle. 26, 27, 32, 25. The only Michaud's Perriot steam velocipede made is in the Musée de l'Île-de-France CO, and was included in the Art of the Motorcycle exhibition in New York in 1998. 33. Knight of Farnham steam carriage. In 1868 to 1870 John Henry Knight of Farnham built a four-wheeled steam carriage which originally only had a single-cylinder engine. Catley and Ayres of York steam car. In 1869 a small three-wheeled vehicle propelled by a horizontal twin-cylinder engine which drove the rear axle by spur gearing. Only one rear wheel was driven, the other turning freely on the axle. A vertical fire tube boiler was mounted at the rear with a polished copper casing over the firebox and chimney. The boiler was enclosed in a mahogany casing. The weight was only 19 cwt and the front wheel was used for steering. Thomson of Edinburgh road steamer. Thomson's road steamer with charcoal wagons. Engraving of 1870. Roby's road steamer built to Thomson's design in 1869. The road steamer built by Robert William Thomson of Edinburgh became famous because its wheels were shod with heavy solid rubber tires. Thomson's first road steamers, manufactured in his own small workshop in Leith, were fitted with three wheels, the small single wheel at the front being directly below the steering wheel. The tires, which were 125 mm, 4.92 in, thick, were corrugated internally and adhered to the wheel by friction. He then turned to T.M. Tennant & Co. of Bowershire Iron and Engine Works, Leith, for their manufacture. But as they could not keep up with demand in 1870, some of the production was moved to Roby & Co. of Lincoln. 34. Over the next 2 years Robis built 32 of these vehicles, which were either 8 or 12 horsepower, 6.0 or 8.9 kilowatts, versions. A large proportion were exported. These included one to Italy, for an experiment of public transport in Bergamo, 3 to Austria, Vienna, and others to Turkey, Australia, New Zealand, India, Ireland, Chile, Russia, Moscow, and Greece. A further Thomson steam vehicle was built in 1877, but apart from traction engines, Robis appear to have discontinued making road steam vehicles until 1904, when they started manufacturing steam road lorries. 35. Kemmler of East Prussia road steamer. An early Kemmler steam plough engine in 1871. Julius Kemmler, a German industrialist, started selling English steam threshing systems. A couple of years later Kemmler started producing various other steam-powered vehicles, such as road rollers, but also high-quality steam ploughing engines and road steamers. Randolph of Glasgow steam bus. In 1872 a steam coach by Charles Randolph of Glasgow weighed 4.5 long tons, 5.0 short tons, 4.6 t, was 15 feet, 4.57 m, in length, but had a maximum speed of only 6 miles per hour, 9.7 kilometers per hour. Two vertical twin-cylinder engines were independent of one another and each drove one of the rear wheels by spur gearing. The entire vehicle was enclosed and fitted with windows all around, carried 6 people, and even had 2 driving mirrors for observing traffic approaching from behind, the earliest recorded instance of such a device. Bolli steam bus. Bolli's Elabiasanti steam bus, photographed in 1875. From 1873 to 1883 Amédée Bolli of Le Mans built a series of steam-powered passenger vehicles able to carry 6 to 12 people at speeds up to 60 km per hour, 37 miles per hour, with such names as La Rapide, La Nouvelle, La Marie-Anne, La Mansell and Elabiasanti. To Elabiasanti the boiler was mounted behind the passenger compartment with the engine at the front of the vehicle, driving the differential through a shaft with chain drive to the rear wheels. The driver sat behind the engine and steered by means of a wheel mounted on a vertical shaft. The layout more closely resembled much later motor cars than other steam vehicles. Moreover, in 1873 it had independent suspension on all 4 corners. 36. 37. Grenville of Glastonbury steam car. Grenville's steam car of 1875-1880. In 1875 to 1880 R. Neville Grenville of Glastonbury constructed a 3-wheeled steam vehicle which travelled a maximum of 15 miles per hour, 24 kilometers per hour. This vehicle is still in existence, preserved for many years in the Bristol Museum and Art Gallery, but since 2012 at the National Motor Museum, Bolu. Cederholm of Sweden steam car. Cederholm steam car in 1892. In 1892 painter Jones Cederholm and his brother, Andre, a blacksmith, designed their first car, a 2-seater, introducing a condenser in 1894. It was not a success. 38. Shearer of South Australia steam car. Shearer's steam car in 1898. Starting in 1894 David Shearer designed and built the first car in Australia. It was capable of 15 miles per hour, 24 kilometers per hour, on the streets of Adelaide, South Australia. The boiler was his own design, being a horizontal boiler of the semi-flash type. Steering was by a tiller-type design and a photograph of the vehicle shows it carrying 8 passengers. The news article on the car has a sectional drawing of the design. 39. 40. The car's first official road trial was in 1899. 41. De Dion and Bhutan steam vehicles. See Steam Tricycle. The development by Leon Sir Pollitt of the flash steam boiler. 42. brought about the appearance of various diminutive steam tricycles and quadricycles during the late 80s and early 90s, notably by De Dion and Bhutan. These successfully competed in long-distance races but soon met with stiff competition for public favor from the internal combustion engine cars being developed, notably by Peugeot, that quickly cornered most of the popular market. In the face of the flood of IC cars, proponents of the steam car had to fight a long rearguard battle that was to last into modern times. Locomobile Company of America. Locomobile steam car. From a January 1901 advertisement, this American firm bought the patents from the Stanley Brothers and began building their steam buggies from 1898 to 1905. Locomobile Company of America went into building gas cars and lasted until the Depression. Stanley Motor Carriage Company. In 1902 the twins Francis E. Stanley, 1849-1918, and Freelan O. Stanley formed the Stanley Motor Carriage Company. They made famous models such as the 1906 Stanley Rocket, 1908 Stanley Carriageabout and 1923 Stanley Steam Car. 43, early to mid-20th century. In 1906 the land speed record was broken by a Stanley steam car, piloted by Fred Marriott, which achieved 127 miles per hour, 204 kilometers per hour, at Ormond Beach, Florida. This annual week-long speed week was the forerunner of today's Daytona 500. This record was not exceeded by any land vehicle until 1910, and stood as the steam-powered world speed record till the 25th of August 2009. Doble steam car. 1924 Doble Model E steam car attempts were made to bring more advanced steam cars on the market, the most remarkable being the Doble steam car, which shortened start-up time very noticeably by incorporating a highly efficient monotube steam generator to heat a much smaller quantity of water along with effective automation of burner and water feed control. By 1923 Doble steam cars could be started from cold with the turn of a key and driven off in 40 seconds or less. 44. Paxton Phoenix steam car. 1953 Paxton Phoenix steam car. Abner Doble developed the Doble Ultimax engine for the Paxton Phoenix steam car, built by the Paxton Engineering Division of McCulloch Motors Corporation, Los Angeles. Its sustained maximum power was 120 bhp, 89 kilowatts. The project was eventually dropped in 1954. 45. Decline of steam car development. Steam cars became less popular after the adoption of the electric starter, which eliminated the need for risky hand cranking to start gasoline-powered cars. The introduction of assembly line mass production by Henry Ford, which hugely reduced the cost of owning a conventional automobile, was also a strong factor in the steam car's demise, as Model T was both cheap and reliable. Late 20th century. See steam car. Air pollution, fuel crises, resurgence and enthusiasts' renewed interest. In 1968 renewed interest was shown, sometimes prompted by newly available techniques. Some of these designs used safer and more responsive water tube boilers. 46. A prototype car was built by Charles J. and Calvin E. Williams of Ambler, Pennsylvania. Other high-performance steam cars were built by Richard J. Smith of Midway City, California, and A.M.D. Pritchard of Caulfield, Australia. Companies / organizations as Controlled Steam Dynamics of Mesa, Arizona, General Motors, Thermoelectron Corporation of Waltham, Massachusetts, and Kinetics Incorporated, of Sarasota, Florida all built high-performance steam engines in the same period. Bill Lear also started work on a closed-circuit steam turbinetto power cars and buses, and built a transit bus and converted a Chevrolet Monte Carlo sedan to use this turbine system. It used a proprietary working fluid dubbed lyrium, possibly a chlorofluorocarbon similar to DuPont Freon. 47. In 1970 a variant of the steam car was made by Wallace L. Minto, which works on Yukon U-113 fluorocarbon as the working fluid instead of water. The car was called the Minto Car. 46.48 land speed record. On the 25th of August, 2009 a team of British engineers from Hampshire ran their steam-powered car Inspiration at Edwards Air Force Base in the Mojave Desert, and averaged 139.84 miles per hour, 225.05 kilometers per hour, over 2 runs driven by Charles Burnett III. The car was 7.62 m, 25 feet 0 in, long and weighed 3,000 kilograms, 6,614 pounds, built from carbon fiber and aluminium and contained 12 boilers with over 2 miles, 3.2 kilometers, of steam tubing. 49. Gallery. 1831 Satire on steam coaches. 1831 Satire on steam coaches. See also Charles Dance, motorist. History of the automobile mainly covers later, internal combustion vehicles. List of motorized trikes. List of steam car makers. Steam car. Steam bus. Steam engine. Steam wagon. The Steam House, Jules Verne novel. Timeline of motor vehicle brands. References.
Good. That was a good one. I have to read again in the future, but I will try to make a video about it in my language Danish. But I'm not been out the whole weekend. I think I will go out shopping a little bit. I will buy a bag of snacks. I'm not supposed to do it, but let's do it anyway.